With October 20th only a few days away, the race for municipal office across the province of Alberta is hitting the final stretch. From every corner of the province, candidates for mayor, reeve, and yes, even councillor are stepping forward with ideas for stronger communities, smarter growth, and brighter futures. Now, in today's edition of Alberta Municipal Votes 2025, we are turning our attention to the city of Brooks, Alberta, where we are honored to be sitting down and chatting with mayoral candidate Joel Goodnough. Joel, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about yourself, but also talking about your bid to become the next mayor of the great city of Brooks, Alberta. As this is your first time ever being on my show, I start with a very classic question. Where does your sense of duty to serve your community come from, Joel?
Hey, thanks for having me. And yeah, that's a great question. My sense of duty has been long installed in being raised, and just how my family raised us to be, that we serve our community with pride and to the best of our ability. And part of my sense of duty is also then to demonstrate that to my kids. And I want my three adult kids to know that we can do these things too, and we can be a part of the change that our community needs. So that's part of it in a sense, yeah.
Where did this duty to serve for municipal politics come from? Because your background, did mom and
Yeah.
dad, were they involved in politics, or are you the black sheep of the family who decided
Yeah,
that politics?
yeah. Well, my background actually is I'm a pastor. I've been doing that for almost 30 years now, and I continue to do that. And just one day, a person kind of came from our church and asked the question, "You'd be really good at politics. Have you thought about it?" And maybe in my messages going out there, I kind of throw my two bits in there, and they said, "Well, put your money where your mouth is. Let's go for it." And so I ran in a by-election, which you would know it's one of the hardest places to run as an unknown. I ran against an incumbent and three other people, and to believe it or not, I won by 7 votes. And so in that by-election in 7 years ago, and so then the second time I ran again and came in second. Not that second is the worst, but in the next election, and then I was able to serve as the deputy mayor. So really, it came from just simply being encouraged by friends and family. No one in our family has done politics. Everyone likes to be an armchair coach politician, but it's always been just something I've always enjoyed.
So 7 years after your first election, you have decided to put your name for reoffer, but reoffer in a different position this time, and that is the mayor of the
Yeah.
city of Brooks. Now we can talk about the gentleman who is leaving and not standing for reelection, but and so therefore there's a vacancy. But what made you think this is the time? This is the time to step up and put Joel's name on the ballot for mayor.
Yeah. Well, I've always had the honor code, whether I was working under Mayor Morishita as mayor, and then Mayor John Petrie, who's our current mayor. And when he decided in January that he wasn't going to run again, that's when I really started thinking about it. Could I handle the load that the mayor has? And recognizing that we were now going to have a leadership void, we recognized too that in our council that four were not returning and two would be running as a council person. And so I thought they need good, strong leadership. And so working with Mayor Morishita through the COVID times, through the restructuring of our whole city, to then Mayor Petrie to the recovery, and then having to not only recover, but then to our city started to see a small housing boom and a lot of good opportunities. I felt that we need to carry on leading the charge.
So, what type of mayor do you hope to be if you are so lucky enough to get the vote of the people of the city of Brooks? Because you're going to be filling some big shoes, both Mayor
Yeah.
Morishita and Mayor Petrie. What type of mayor do you see yourself filling that void with? Is it just an extension of John's term, or how does Joel bring a different perspective to the mayor's chair that John didn't have?
Well, I think in part you're always an extension of the previous council because they've laid out a format and you work with administration, but you lay out the vision of where you see the city. We've got some amazing projects on the go. We've got a junior high school, a Catholic school that's getting developed. We're continuing to develop our southeast sector, and the housing is the interest of developed housing in our area has just grown. So I see ourselves as we're not doing catch up to other parts of Alberta, but we're following in line. The other thing I see is that for economic growth, and I see myself laying out a better foundation for economic growth. We were currently known, and we're still known a little bit as an oil town and a cattle town. But I really think that I'm going to put our mark in the tech sector. We recognize the data mining with a $60 billion interest in Alberta. We are primed for that in our area in partnership with the county and the government. So I think we can really lead the way in those areas.
So I'm going to assume that we're going to be talking about that in the issues segment of the conversation,
Sure.
but I want to stick on you for a second because I was just actually looking at the list of candidates who are coming forward, and it seems, and this could be just an outsider's perspective, that there's going to be a big turnover this year in the election. There's a lot of people not offering. There's a lot of people like yourself who are moving up. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's 3 that are incumbents that are currently running, or potentially even 2 that are running for re-election.
There's only 2 that are incumbent. I believe both of them have been on your show. Councillor Dries and Councillor Wardrop. And they've allowed their name to stand. And then I'm going as for the mayor, like you said. It is going to be a very interesting slate. We held our debate last night with the chamber and get to hear their voices and their opinions. We're going to need a leader that can amalgamate a team quick to work. And that's what I can do. I can amalgamate, I can bring the team together to continue the vision that I have for the city. And it'll be some interesting opposition because they're coming in on some very strong views and on how they want to see the city run. So I look forward to that.
So how do you see yourself ensuring that, because, and you probably know this after 7 years in office, 100% of the people will never agree on anything that you say or do, Joel.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure as mayor that all voices are heard? How will you ensure that the people who disagree with you have a voice with you, even though, because the one thing I often hear with municipal leaders, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. How do you ensure that you listen to all sides of the equation as mayor, as the next mayor of the city of Brooks?
Yeah. Well, I think in any time we have to have open dialogue, and we can express our dialogue and our opinions, but we have to look at the facts and we have to look at our budgets, and that's reality. We've got a tax base, and we have to live within our means. And unfortunately, I think a lot of conversation has been, well, we're overspending. But what the reality is that the cost of spending or the cost of things have gone up. So we're re-looking at our budgets to balance it out and to make sure that we're not overtaxing or we want to be fair for all the residents and the commercial. So, but for me, I think it's being able to listen. Let's look at the facts and let's make sure that we can get the best deal for everyone. So. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I want to turn to the issues because I can imagine people are here to listen about the issues and not about yourself, even though they probably know who you are. I wanted to learn a little about you. So I can imagine as you door knock, you're hearing 100 different issues from 100 different people and every door is different. So I want you to macroize what you're hearing. I want you to give me the big 3 issues that you're hearing at the doorsteps that residents want you to address in this next term of office.
Yeah. Well, I think it's been interesting to hear because sometimes you have a perception of what you think the issues are at City Hall, and then you go to the residents and they've got a lot of different issues. So this will be interesting because the number one I've heard has been safety. They want to know that when their kids are walking to school or back home or whether they're out going through the parks, that there's a sense of safety. And so I'm proud that I have a great relationship with our RCMP, our past 4 staff sergeants, a relationship with them, and we have clear communication and setting the goals for their mandate for our city. But I also work with the bylaw officers quite well, and we recognize that. And I hope I'm allowed to share a little bit about where I want to go with safety in that, because part of my plan will be to actually double our bylaw. We currently have 3. I'd like to see us go to 6, where we can then do 2 shifts, an earlier shift or later shift, because let's face it, people are out in the evenings and crime doesn't stop at 5 o'clock. I know it's
breaking news on the Cross Border Network. Crime doesn't run from 8 to 4 every day.
I know. So I don't know. It's not rocket science to me that we need to ensure this. And we'll look at the costs and we'll look at that side of things. But we know, and this is an interesting thing about the city of Brooks, our bylaw, who works very tight with the our CMP, they're very close, actually do a lot of lead up work and just simply pulling someone over, whether they might be some of the with drugs or guns or whatever it might be, then they can bring the RCMP in. My focus is to allow the RCMP to alleviate them to do the more hard crimes, the more technical side of things. So I'm looking at that, and I think that people are resonating with that. They want to know that a concern has been at some of our rec centers, just kids misbehaving. So having our bylaw walk through there, our peace officers, it calms things down, or it can. So that's
So
that's
can
one of
I
the issues. Yeah,
can I challenge you on that
yeah,
for a second? Because
yeah.
safety is a and I hate because I don't want to seem like I'm brushing this off, but I have never not felt not safe that's a lot of no. So I'm going to make sure I rephrase this.
Hmm.
I have never not felt safe in the city of Brooks when I've been there.
Right.
Now I'm a
Yeah,
big guy, so I'm assuming I'm not the quote unquote target for people to commit crimes against.
yeah.
And safety can be a perception where some people
Hmm.
just don't feel safe. Now, increasing bylaw officers is great. Increasing RCMP is also great, but the perception is always there. How do you change a perception of a community? Because I'm going to ask you a pointed question. Do you feel safe in the city of Brooks?
I 100% feel safe in the city of Brooks. It's actually interesting. We came from Saskatchewan 17 years ago, and one of the comments that we got when we first moved here: "Don't ever let your wife walk alone on the streets of Brooks." I know it's the strangest comment. My wife was, "I don't need my husband to walk with me. I can look after myself." So, and so it's an interesting perception that's out there. Our crime rate is down. I believe it's almost 19.6% over last year. Our members are doing a great job. But I think what we have to think about is when I look at our bylaw and our RCMP members, I look at them being the presence, right? And so it's amazing, just being present changes the atmosphere. And whether they're riding their bikes through the park or just being out at those events, it changes the atmosphere. So that's how I look at it. It's that sense of safety. The other thing I think that, and I don't think we can ever nip this in the bud, is social media. They can just hyper extend those issues, and they blow it up to more than it really is. And I won't discredit, there are people there has been some very serious situations that have happened in our city in the recent past month, and I do not want to downplay that one bit. Um,
And
so
that's
I
why I
think
wanted
just
to
have,
make sure
yeah,
that people knew
yeah,
that I wasn't downplaying it. It's just
no,
it is an issue. It's how do we change the atmosphere? Because you're right.
yeah,
And I think you hit it right on the nail there. It's the presence of the bylaw officers because
yeah,
your RCMP detachment does not just look after the city of Brooks. I'm assuming it looks after the county
yeah,
of Newell, the village of Dutchess, all these other surrounding communities. So
right.
they're out on the road a lot, so that you don't might not see the RCMP downtown every single day.
That's right. And we've got a school resource officer that works within the school that's building trust with the kids. A great example is there was complaints about the littering after a soccer game. And it was amazing. Our bylaw officer just came out, and there's maybe 40, 50 people playing soccer on a Sunday afternoon, just walked around. And it was amazing how quickly garbage got picked up. But it's the sense of presence. And he didn't have to say, they just knew, well, I'm throwing that in the garbage. So it's amazing how just that presence works. And so I think that's a great way to respond in preventative crime. The other thing I would say with that too is, as a city, I want to work with our social agencies to continue to bring awareness. Um, and this is an interesting fact. Now, this was, I think, under Mayor Morishita's time, but we saw all of a sudden domestic abuse in our city skyrocket. And the reason why is because we started doing outreach to partners that were being abused, that it's okay to talk to somebody. So it's amazing when you get communication that, yeah, in here we're allowed to, you can talk, you can get help, and there's someone that's there to save you. So it's very interesting how we look at the report sometimes.
It's a good area to pick up on if you don't mind, because one of the
Yeah.
roles of the mayor is not just working alongside bylaw officers and RCMP, it's also working aside stakeholders, the ones who help, the ones who offer
Mhm.
supports, the AHSs. And I know AHS is in four different organizations now, but I'm just going to
Yeah.
umbrella it for a second. Sorry, Premier Smith.
Yeah.
But how do you see yourself as the role of mayor, ensuring that the municipality doesn't take the shoulder of the responsibility? Because you only have a limited
Yeah.
supply of money and you need to work with outreach groups, the immigration support groups who work side by side with many people in your community. How do you see your role of
Yeah.
doing that?
Well, I hate to say this, I'm at a very unfair advantage. My wife is the executive director for the spec organization in the city. And, so she's got over 36 employees that deal with social work issues. And we are very hands-on as a family in working in all this. So we understand what's going on, but we have to work with FCSS and making sure that that funding is actually allocated to the right
Yeah.
resources too. So it's a very interesting balancing that the mayor does, and I'm lucky that, or maybe I should say, my wife is lucky that she'll have the chance to have the ear of the mayor and be able to, you know, really speak her what the needs are. So we work with that. We work with our sports programs and all those things to make sure that everyone's heard.
I was about to say, can I bring in my camera equipment for the first dinner if you're elected with between you and your wife, just to live stream that, just to see how that dynamic is going to unfold over for you?
it and I will be honest, and she knows this, but my first term in as council, I did vote against one of uh, her proposals that she was requesting funds for. So she doesn't get a free pass. You have to still show that it's valuable, and thank goodness there was, I think, four other people that voted in favor, so it did pass. But she was like, "How could you?" So it was a couple cold
So,
nights outside.
so big number one big issue is crime and
Yeah.
safety that you want to address. What are
Yeah.
the other two?
Well, the second thing will be is our infrastructure. We are as a growing city. StatsCan says we're at 14,900 approximately. We believe we're now probably around the 17,000 person mark, which is exciting to see. So we know that we are in the process of building a wastewater treatment plant. We're not the starting, but the starting phases of getting our funding all together, which will probably be around a $32 million uh, hit. Now, the good thing is, I believe in partnership. The Alberta government's already stepped up with a great contribution of just over 9 million. We're going to be going after the federal government, but then because of our partnership with the county, because apparently their waste comes our way, so we are going to be going after them for part of the billing too, and they know that. So we're talking, how do we collaborate? So that's going to be a big project for us, and we need to make sure that that's at the forefront. The other thing I look about our infrastructure is, and I know we always think of infrastructure as roads and sewers and underground pipeline, but one of the things that we've invested in is Brooksnet, is our fiber optics. And we had a $20 million investment under Mayor Morishita. We've continued with it, and I continue to support it wholeheartedly. We've already captured a third of the population for users. So we've got the backbone. We run that, and we believe that's one of the keys to our future, is that infrastructure part, that we will be very competitive with any small city our size. So those are some areas that we look at.
So let's play in that sandbox for a second, because
Yeah,
infrastructure is the issue that most municipalities are dealing with right now.
yeah,
And I know I sort of shrugged off, oh, it's a wastewater treatment facility. Yes, it's going to be $32 million, but $32 million is a lot of money. And
yeah,
I can imagine if I had Arno Dorkson on the show right now, the Reeve of Newell County, or
yeah,
he's running for council. If I
yeah,
had him on the show and said, Joel wants you to pay, he'll say, okay, we'll pay, but we're not paying all of it. And
No,
that
that's right.
means you have one group of people that you can go to and say, guess what, everyone, we're going to have to raise your property taxes or we're going to have to cut some services. How do you
Yeah.
continue to grow your community while not doing it on the backs of the people who are there? Because I'm not sure what third issue is. It may be affordability. If it is, then we're just playing in two sandboxes at the same time. But you need to grow your community, but people are struggling. How do you see yourself being able to balance those two challenges?
Yeah, and that's always going to be the balancing act because we recognize we need that and we need the partnership. So I believe at the end of the day, the tax burden will be probably around that $8 to $10 million, which is a lot. We are going to deventure that over 20 years. So we will look at spreading it out, and most likely it will go not on property taxes, on utility tax, on the utility bill. The reason is because there's more people using utilities than taxpayers. So we're gonna it's kind of the secret that I'll let out on that's breaking news. So that's kind of the way I yeah. So if we can throw some sound effects when that happens, that'd be great.
Totally.
Um
Pew, 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 pew.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
my sound
So
effects on this show.
it's better than mine. Pew, pew. So but yeah, so that's how we're gonna look at that and working through that.
But even if you,
Um
and I know you, if you spread it out across the utility bills, which is, you know what, I think it's the right way to do. When you said that, I was like, good, someone actually is doing what it should, because, like you said, more people use utilities rather than pay property taxes. But, and I'm going to go back to the
mhm,
affordability challenge here for a second.
yeah,
If you raise the utility bills, that means people are still going to have to go without for some things. That means people are going to have to look at it and go, okay, it may be only $5 a month, but $5 to a family who's struggling, who's a one
it's
income
absolutely
household, is a lot.
yeah. No, and there is no easy answer for that. And I think that anyone to say that it's a hard battle. And we recognize that um, we need to make sure that there's good jobs and the economy is growing, and that our city continues to be a fair wage payer, right, for the employers employment. We recognize that JBS is the largest employer of over 3,000 people in our community. And they have a good wage, but part of that money also doesn't stay in the community. They're coming here because they're supporting their families back home, and I can absolutely appreciate that. But that's part of the cost of unfortunately doing business in a lot of ways.
So on the flip side of that, because I think you were about to hit it on the head, and then I kind of distracted you because I was about to jump in. But
Hmm.
how important is it for you as the next mayor, or if you were elected, to be
Yeah,
upfront and honest with people? Because a lot of people say in this world that politicians are just politicians. They'll lie to us during an election, and then
yeah,
once everything comes up, you're putting things on the record that I've not heard from many other candidates in this election, which I am very thankful for because I like honest people who are doing the honest goodness work.
yeah.
In your term in office, how important will it be for you to have those hard, truthful conversations with people, even if it is kind of detrimental to a political career?
Yeah, that's a good question because I'm a very honest person. And if I don't know the answer, I always say I'll get you the answer, but it might not be the answer you like. Um, but I'll be honest. I will be very truthful to my understanding. And so, and I always try to. I honestly, I do. I'm just one of the approaches that I've taken in this last election, and I know a lot of my team has said maybe you shouldn't do that so much, but I will answer questions on Facebook and I will back it up with data why I'm doing that. So I know some people say that's pretty dangerous, but I think that if you've got the data to prove it and the paperwork to show what you're doing, then you're being open and transparent, and that's what people want from their politicians, and that's something you'll get with me. I'm not gonna play around and say one thing and then reverse it and do another. So I try to do the best.
So, infrastructure challenges, crime and safety. What's the third big priority that people are telling you at the doorsteps?
Yeah, economics. We gotta build our small businesses up. We got to continue to encourage that. Uh, it, it's so it kind of irritates me sometimes when I hear people that are running say, "Well, I'll cut red tape." And then I asked the question, well, have you seen the process of how much we've cut in the last year? No, I haven't. Well, we've got roughly a 24 to 48-hour turnaround for business permits, even less for housing permits if everything's lined up accordingly. Our administration knocks it out of the park week in and week out. And that's why we're a strong city, because we have a strong administration team. So they make us look good 99% of the time. And then we open our mouths and we mess it up for them. So, but really, we're going to continue to grow our economic development team. We are, like I said, we're going to look at the data mining center. We've got new housing development coming in. So a lot of trade stuff is taking place. And small businesses, we need to encourage them to want to people obviously to shop local. I know that's a hard battle when you can see it 30% less online, but we really need to encourage those things. Um,
So
the
can
other
I can
thing
I
I would
can I
say,
just
oh
pick
yeah,
up
go
on
ahead,
that
please.
because I want to ask this
Yeah,
question because you wanted to talk about what you will do. Now, I can imagine I can transpose this conversation that we're having about economic diversification, economic development into every single municipality across the province of Alberta
yeah,
right now. What do you see your role as mayor, and what do you hope the next 4 years will look like to spur that economic development in the city of Brooks? Because every other municipality will be trying to cut their red tape.
yeah.
Every other
Mm-hmm.
administration will be saying, we've got the best turnaround time. What do you see as the role of mayor? And knowing that you are one vote of nine, if I'm saying
Six, no,
six,
six on,
so seven, so
six
one
councilmen, one mayor. Yeah, seven.
seven council members around the table. So you need four of those people around that table to vote in favor with you. How do you
Yeah.
see your role as council in spurring more economic development? Because I can imagine you will want to go out and talk to Amazon, all the big box factories to come and invest, but Medicine Hat will be doing the same thing, Lethbridge, Bow Island, all these different municipalities.
We are definitely competing with every other municipality. We're even competing in our own county for stores for spaces. So uh, I think that what we have to do is a partnership. I think a lot of times I look at what they did in Lethbridge County with Highway 3. They all got on the same page to advocate for the same cause. I'm excited that as we go out, I will be the voice. I'll be the face. I'm prepared to make those trips and to advocate for the city of Brooks. And I'm not. And I know Mayor Pete or Mayor Morishita did that, and Mayor Petrie did, and I'll continue that. We will attract those things, but it's also being able to come with the hard facts of why you need to come here. And I'll say this: the reason why you want to come here is because of our housing development. You can open up a big box store, you can open up a agri-food business, but they need somewhere to live and they need somewhere for their kids to go to school. And so we're already preparing the way for all of that. And then I'll include people, we talk about needs and wants sometimes, but it is a need to have high speed internet. And I'll say fiber optic. And we've got that ability to provide for every company that comes in that type of service that is locally owned and not corporately owned. So I think that's an important thing too. And I don't want to I don't want to put a black eye on the big two companies there, but we outpace them in speeds. So if people are looking for that, we've got it here.
So how do you balance that equation then? Because people want to come and invest into Brooks. I will give you
Yep.
that because every time I'm there, it seems like it's always growing and there's always another development going on. But you just openly admitted in the second part of your three issues that you're hearing at the doorstep that infrastructure is a challenge. So circle the square for me because you don't want to grow too fast where you're not sustainably keeping up with the infrastructure that you're having, but you want to grow in a way that businesses say, oh, it is an attractive place to invest. So in your next term, this is going to be the sort of cart before the horse scenario that you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
How do you see yourself doing that? Because, and I'm going to sort of preface this to a conversation I just had with someone in Brooks over the summer while I was there, not a counselor, not an elected official. I was just
Yep.
there for a meeting. And they said, we love that we're growing, but we are growing to a place where we don't want to go because right now we have so many challenges and we don't want to see them be exacerbated by that growth.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think that we're going to work on strongly is we might be a city, but we're also going to have a hometown feeling, and we got to continue with that. People like the idea that you can go to our parks and it is crowded, but not too crowded,
Yeah.
right? It's the place to be. I know I got my Brooks Bandits jersey in the back, and we've got community sports. So that's one side of it. But the infrastructure side is, our lagoon is about at 80%
Okay.
approximately at usage. So we're still at a place where we need to now be in the preparation stage for what's about to come. So when we look at agri-food businesses, when we partner with the county on those things, that we are ready to go. And so I'll take a note out of the Alberta government's. We want shovel ready projects, and we will be shovel ready. And that's why we got 2 schools approved so fast. Not just because we have the premier in our backyard, but because we're ready to go, we're ready to develop, and we'll continue setting that pace of being ready when the door opens for that opportunity.
So I am cautious of time, and I want to just turn to this part of the segment. It's my question for you because
Yeah.
the mayor's role is to be a spokesperson, a champion for their community, someone who will stand
Mm-hmm.
up for their community 24/7, 7 days a week. Now, you just mentioned the person I'm going to talk about here, and that is Premier Danielle Smith. She happens to be your MLA as well.
Yeah.
Now, that means you have a good working relationship with her, I'm assuming. But there are some times that you're going to be disagreeing on issues that
Yeah.
you want to see have Brooks more in the forefront of the issues that are being faced with. How do you have a good relationship with Premier Brooks and still Premier Smith, sorry, not
Premier
Premier
Smith.
Brooks,
Yeah.
Premier Smith, while ensuring that you are still holding firm to the people who've elected you and say, Premier Smith, Brooks needs
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that question. And I do get that question quite a bit. Now, I want to preface this not in a negative way, but I want to be able to preface this part. When the premier comes to town, I've had the opportunity now to host her for town forums. They've requested me to be the moderator to ask the hard questions. And so that's been a good privilege for me to be able to ask her the hard questions that she's uncomfortable with in angry crowds, whether it's the teachers or different union groups or whatever, or just public citizens' concerns. So we've been able to do that over the last 4 years. But we also have a working relationship in the sense of I've made a lot of proposals for a new community center I want to see built. I want to see our college become more of a trade school college. And she's been able to agree and said, yeah, these are great ideas. What can we do? Now, this is where I want to preface. The man who is running against me is her president of her association. So, what I make this statement, it's not to be cocky, but it's to say I don't work for her. I'm going to work for you, the city of Brooks. You can still have a good relationship. I know when this gets online, this will get in trouble. I've invited Nenchi to come to town already to have a conversation because you have to be able to, as a mayor, work with whoever the party is. So I have no problem working whether it was with Nenchi or whether it'll be Premier Smith. I will work for the citizens of Brook, and I'll get the job done to make sure that our needs are met. So
Because at the end of the day, and this is the part of the mayor that we're like literally, you're like picking up on all my cues that I'm about to ask you here, Joel. I appreciate it because I, while you are the mayor and you're supposed to represent everyone, even the people who disagree with you, the
yeah,
people of Brooks are diverse. That means there are NDP, there are liberals, there are conservatives, there are Green parties, even there's probably a few of them, Republican Party
yeah,
of Alberta. And you need to be able to work with everyone because at the end of the day, you're not on team red, blue, green, orange. You're on team Brooks.
yeah.
How do you see your past as a counselor for the last 7 years being able to bring those diverse groups of people together and bring them on a journey to make the city of Brooks a better place for everyone?
Oh, if we had the magic answer for that, it would be I'd buy into that right away. I would invest. But I really think it's got to be just simply communication and talking and allowing them to air their frustration at you. And when they've done that, then allowing yourself to talk back to them, and hopefully you kind of come to a consensus. I realize, and I've just had to learn with, you're not going to win everyone over. My grandpa said years ago to me, he said, if you want everyone to like you, go sell ice cream. And so it's just, that's a part of life. But
I
you got to work for that.
literally want to jump
Yeah.
in right now and say, you want to sell ice cream, but then the lactose intolerant people will say, well, you didn't sell my type of ice cream.
Yeah. Then I'll say, go have a sherbet or something. So I don't want to divulge too far on this, but since the campaign has started, I have had more ice cream in the last little while because I want to like myself.
Just wait till you're mayor, then you're gonna be flipping a lot more pancakes as well. So I
Oh,
want
love
to
it.
I,
Yeah.
I want to turn because I'm cautious of time here, and I have three last questions I want to ask you. But before I do, I want to preface this and say quick editorial note. Now, for those who are listening in the city of Brooks and want to be featured on this show, you can reach out to us directly. If you're running against Joel, we would love to have you on the show as well. We are trying to reach out via email to every single person who is running against the people that we feature on the show, but sometimes our emails get put to the junk folder. So if you haven't heard from us by the end of this episode, reach out to us directly. The links will be in the show notes below. So, with that being said, on October 21st, the day after the election, you are officially declared mayor elect for the city of Brooks. What will be priority number one for yourself?
Well, priority number one is obviously we're going to meet with our team. We're going to spend the next 4 days, 3 days going through training and how do we work together as a team. Our CAO and I, we've sat down already to with our current council. I'll preface that to what does it look like for the new council and what are the rules and simply what does the MGA say or the governing authority say of how we have to act responsible and work for the citizens. So that's going to be day number one. And I'm more looking forward to November to our budget season, to be honest. I'm already eyeing that up, and my priority is going to be is to get our bylaw on there as part of the budget discussion right off the bat, and to continue pushing forward for our infrastructure for the wastewater treatment plant, and attracting investment into the community.
So at the end of the day, there's probably going to be people who say, Chris, you should have asked this question to Joel, or you should have
Yep.
followed up with this. But at the end of the day, this is my show and I get to ask the questions I want to ask because that's the way the world
Yep.
works. How can people reach out to you? Now, you don't need to give the exact details, but we will link
Yep.
all your social media pages in the show notes
Sure.
below. But how can people reach out, get in contact with you, email you? How can people ask the questions they want to make their decision easier?
Yeah, well, it's really simple. You can either email me at joelgoodnough@gmail.com. I prefer not to use my city email at this time, but just to keep it separate. Also, you can go onto our Facebook page, and that's Joel Goodnough for Mayor at or at Facebook. And those are really the two ways. I won't give my phone number out, but it's all in that information just in case.
No, I find it surprising that so many municipal politicians just willy-nilly give out their phone number on my show. I'm like, okay, I guess that's the way the world works. So
Yeah,
my
yeah,
my final question for you, Joel, and this is the
yeah.
million-dollar question. So this is the one time in the interview where I turn the microphone over to you, and you can take as long or as little time as you want to address the people that are listening from the city of Brooks or the people who are going to put their trust into you in the next 4 years. Why should people vote for you on October 20th to be their next mayor of the great city of Brooks, Alberta?
Well, the honest truth is, over the last 7 years, it's been my great honor and privilege to serve the city as a councilman and as the deputy mayor. It's been an honor to represent you at the table and to bring your needs forward, and I will continue as the mayor. My platform has been simple, safe, strong, sustainable. I will bring and encourage more safety for all of our residents. I'm going to work very for a strong economy. And I'm going to bounce back that where we lost in the oil sector, I believe we can gain in the tech sector and the cattle industry and the agri sector. And then sustainability. What does it look like to maintain lower taxes, to increase our outreach to every person that decides to make Brooks home? And last but not least, I will say this, which has been my tagline the whole time. has been no one else is good enough for mayor. So that's kind of been my go-to.
Well, Joel, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for taking
Yeah,
time out of your busy schedule to do this interview. We look forward to having this conversation hopefully after October 20th, and we can see
yeah,
you around when I come to Brooks, but also when you're at Alberta
absolutely.
Municipalities in Calgary this year. So we'll see you potentially there.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great time. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 here on Municipal Affairs. Now, we hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and gained some valuable insights into this all important municipal election. Quick editorial note, as I said during the interview, I just want to make it sure that we say it twice so people hear. If you are a candidate running in any municipality across this great province, head over to our website, and if you want to be featured on this show, fill out the Join the Show page now. There you can fill out your information. We'll get back to you within 24 hours of your submission. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the show because we are announcing that we are going live on election night here in the province of Alberta across the entire province, bringing you election results and having delegates and speakers coming on our show via Zoom, via in person, and talking about this important municipal election. Now, your support means the world to us, so share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we will be back with a brand new episode of Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 shortly. Till then, everyone.